And we're live. What's going on, everybody? Crap, I didn't hook up the speaker. Okay.
And we're live.
Oh, and my sound's going. This is a disaster. Okay, give me 1 second. Man, I'm sorry, guys. I was in this giant rush. And, being in a rush resulted in me not hooking up my mic properly. The reason why I'm late is because priorities, guys. I got to get my coffee. So that's what I did. I got a coffee. To my mic. Hopefully that just fixes itself. Boom. Yeti microphone. Let me know if, okay, ears are bleeding. Has it been fixed? Hasn't been fixed. Guys, let me know, please. I'm sorry about that. I forgot the speaker. Audio is still better than Brand being king. I know. That's why I wanted to do this live stream. Problem is, the leaks were right. Yeah. I don't even know what to say. Honestly, I am a little bit in shock. My key thing about this episode was if George R.R. Martin, the author of A Song of Ice and Fire books, if he told the producers of the show that this was how it was going to end, I think there's a way to do that. I think the execution makes us think that it's a bad ending, right? I think there's so much more that they could have done. First of all, if you're going to have a character be king, don't cut him out of a season. So first of all, they did that. They took Bran out of season 5, and they made him one of the weirdest, most underdeveloped characters on the show. So I thought that was bad. Daenerys' turn to burn King's Landing, I knew it was going to happen, but it was handled poorly. In terms of Jon going north of the wall, I don't think they effectively communicated to me that Jon was going north of the wall to freedom. It seemed like I would have liked a scene between Bran and Jon where Bran says, you know, you've done your part. Now go, be free, do what makes you happy. And that would have shown him going beyond the wall. Just more development, I think, was really important. And I would have been very happy with Jon Snow's finish or ending if they let him kill the Night King, because then his character would have had a purpose, right? I would have been happy with that. Arya, happy with that. Sansa, I'm happy with that. What other endings were there? The only real disappointment, like I can say, okay, I can expect Jon being. Can I talk today? I expected Jon, going north. I expected yada yada yada. The one thing that really disappointed me was probably the way King's Landing was handled. The way the council I thought should have been better. I don't know if Bronn should have been there. There's a lot of stuff to say about that. And we'll get into it. We'll get into it a lot. I want to dive deep into this episode, communicate about the good things, the bad things, kind of look over Game of Thrones as a whole. One thing I want to touch on first, actually, is a little bit of a little promotional stuff, I guess. So I'm known by my community or my friend group as not a social media savvy person. I don't use social media, right? So I decided I'd get an Instagram. I don't know how to use it. I just put up my first post. If you guys want to follow me on my Instagram, I'm going to be posting probably behind the scenes stuff. You'll be able to see more stuff on me, and then probably potential hints at what I'll be doing in the future. Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff coming. I thought I would do more of a personal Instagram because I like the live chat. I love communicating with you guys. So I thought I would give you an avenue to kind of see behind the curtain, behind BuzzTox, more into my life, that kind of stuff, right? What the hell is my tag? On Instagram, I'm max.ferguson.b. Right? You can't miss it. I got a profile photo. I'm like this. I'm like just looking off. And then I did a post just thanking all of you guys, and I really appreciate it for all your support. It's been incredible being able to talk Game of Thrones with you guys. It's been, absolutely fantastic. So I did that, and then I did kind of my first post, which I deleted and re-uploaded 3 times because I butchered it so bad. So that's my one plug. Check out my Instagram. Honestly, I hope I get a certain amount of followers because I'd rather not post to no one. I'm new to the social media stuff, so we'll see how it goes. But let's see who's in the chat. We got Programmer of Video Games. What's going on, buddy? Thank you so much for being a moderator. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Talon Stag. What's going on? Mahia, Faraz, Jason, Daddio. Daddio. Wow, can I read? Jason, I don't know if I said that. Who else do we got here? Patriot, Dylan, Jay, Dracaris Fire, Film History Tube gave me a $5 donation. Thank you so much. That's incredible. And what he says is, did you ever consider A, the season was George's terrible plot points rushed, or B, the show was hyped to death and has always been uneven? So I'll just touch on that saying, first of all, I don't think the show was overhyped because the show was actually amazing. It deserved the hype it got. It was one of the most influential shows in our point in history. You know what I mean? It really brought movie spectacle to the TV, right? In terms of, do I consider that this season the writing was so poor because it was just a rushed version of what George R.R. Martin wanted? I said that earlier. I think that's possible, and I think it wasn't the ending plot points that truly upset me. Even though obviously there's some things like Bran sitting the throne is a disappointment, but if they explained it a bit in that episode, but there wasn't enough. If they gave justification for it, they explained it a certain way, it would have come off a lot more effective. I just feel like the key issue with a lot of people saying that the show was disappointing was that they felt like everything was undeserved. And they felt like there was no purpose to it. Like Daenerys full blown went evil and got killed. And I didn't, and you know what I mean? I felt almost no emotion because they rushed it. They really rushed everything. In terms of Bran, yeah, like you telling me the guy just sits around all day and then out of nowhere he says, "Oh, that's why I'm here, is to be king." I thought that was ridiculously handled. They cut him out of a season. I don't even know if they knew that he was going to be king at that point. And I feel like Jon deserved a better send-off because they never really gave him anything this season in the first place. So I just feel like if they wanted to end the show the exact same way, they could have done it much, much better and made us feel much more satisfied, and all the character arcs would have been complete and felt much more deserved because they would have actually established stuff. So that's my opinion on that. I just think they dropped the ball on setting up the writing of the show. I don't know why. I don't know if it's true, if they actually turned down if they turned down doing 10 episodes for 2 more seasons. I don't know if they did that or not, the producers, but they made a giant mistake. So who else do we got here? TKS says, BuzzTox, I think they should do another episode just like the epilogue. Yeah, it would be nice. Unfortunately, it's not going to happen. Yeah, I don't think they're going to touch on it again. I have no idea. It would be great. I'd love to see Jon north of the wall and kind of find a life there, but they never even established that. Like, as far as we know, he was escorting Tormund and the wildlings to safety, to like just over the wall to their home, and then he was going to come back to Castle Black, right? That was my first interpretation, was, you know, Jon isn't free. He's still the lord of cripples, bastards, and broken things, and he has to be celibate, and he has to stay at the wall. So I think that's we honestly don't know, and they didn't really clarify that. Jason says, was Bran sitting on the throne the third big twist? What are your thoughts? Or maybe he was slaying Daenerys. I'm trying to keep an open mind, but the plot holes are too numerous. Yes, I know. Either one, honestly, it doesn't matter. If I were to say what was the biggest plot twist to me, is frickin' Bran on the throne, man. That was the one thing that upset me. In terms of Bran being elected, I felt like Grey Worm made me angry because they gave too much power to the Unsullied and the Dothraki, and I thought that was really poorly written. The fact that they're like, we're mad at you guys, we're keeping Jon hostage because he killed our queen. And then Tyrion's like, we should elect a queen or king. And then Grey Worm's like, okay. And then Grey Worm goes along with it. They elect Bran king, and then that's it. Grey Worm agrees to Jon's sentence. And then on top of that, Bran does Jon very dirty. So I thought that was weird. I thought it was even more bizarre because they hinted at Grey Worm taking over Highgarden with the Unsullied. Tyrion said it, and then nope, they're sailing to Essos or Southros. They're going to Narth, I think. So all of that, Jon's fate, for all of the importance of what he is. Like, Jon's character is about perspective, bringing people together. He's the perfect person to help build this better world. Even if he's not going to be king, put him on the council. Like, this guy is destined to make the world a better place. But he's sent north of the wall because of Grey Worm, who's not even going to stay in Westeros. So I thought that was crazy. I thought it was really bizarre. So I had a really hard time with that. I thought that aspect of it was pretty stupid. And because of that, now Jon just has to live out his days on the wall, which I thought was really stupid because they set up his character to be a very important one moving forward. It would have felt a little better if they had him kill the Night King. Then that way it's like Jon fulfilled his purpose because he's fire and blood, and now he can spend the rest of his days doing that, right? I just feel like it was cheap. Like, he didn't really do anything. So I don't know. But that's how I felt about that. Eddie says, I would love if you put your 2 cents into this. The show, no matter what ending, would have been 10 times better if there were 10 seasons. I think 10 seasons is a lot. Like, in terms of 10 seasons, what could they have established in 10 seasons? Like, based on how much they rushed these last 2 seasons, I don't know what they could have added to give more context to how this season unfolded. Like, I think they should have done just 2 more seasons. I would have loved the idea of 2 10-episode seasons. 1 10 dedicated to the Night King, the other 10 dedicated to Cersei and the fall of Daenerys. I think that would have been a great way to end it. But in terms of adding an additional, 2 seasons on there, I think that's a lot. I think you could have told a much better story with just an extra 7 episodes. Uday says, in season 7, Bran says he can't be lord of anything. In season 8, he's like, why else did I come all this way? Absurd writing. Yeah, I know. Especially in, it's just weird. I'm talking to Tyrion, and Bran says, I could never be Lord of Winterfell. I thought that was kind of bizarre. It's that annoyance of the writing. Like, they wanted to subvert our expectations to the point where it didn't make sense. And then they're like, huh, surprise, he's going to be king. And then we're left being like, okay, but you told me this, and this doesn't add up. And there's all these issues in the plot and idiosyncrasies that you didn't capitalize on. So I thought that was pretty stupid. In terms of Bran's role, I think he's a bad candidate to be king. Like, Tyrion made a great speech saying, he's the keeper of stories, and he's Bran the Broken, and he has access to all of these memories. Stories bring us together, yada yada yada. And it's like, okay, that's awesome. Why don't they make a new division, right? Instead of there being a master of war, how about there's a master of peace, right? And that helps build a better world. And Bran would take that role because he's the keeper of stories, and he's Bran the Broken. He knows what it's like to be broken, and he wants to build a better world. So I think the show would have made more sense to build this better world, this broken wheel that they're speaking of, if Bran was instead of the military commander, he was the peace commander, and that was his job. And he was the surveillance of the world, and because everything else, he's not a king. People don't like him. People don't really know who he is. He's weird. He has no king traits. Jon does. So I think Bran would have been the perfect combat to Jon sitting on the throne. But I don't know. That's how I felt about that. But yeah, I'm not sure. Let's see here. Z says George R. R. Martin wanted a minimum of 10 to 12 seasons, he said in an interview. Wow. The thing with George R. R. Martin though is he's not only thinking about Jon and Arya and Bran and Daenerys and all these characters that we know. He's thinking about all the other stories that he talks about that we never saw on the show. Um, he's talking about like that amount of seasons. I think it would make for a very jumbled up season or show because you know sometimes I do give the producers of the show a lot of crap because of what they did with these last two seasons. But the reality is that say what you will about them, but what they did in the first six seasons was great. They were able to condense a lot of content to create a cohesive story, focusing on characters that were important that we cared about, and not making the viewer feel overwhelmed or too much at play. We were able to invest in very key characters of the show. And I feel like once you get that long, they could have made it work, but you would have had to add a lot more characters, a lot more depth, and I feel like it wouldn't have been the phenomenon that it is today. Because say what you will, like a lot of people would say, completely transfer over the books, but it's a different medium. You got to adapt the books for the show. And in order for a show to be successful, I think they had to make some cuts and necessary cuts that led them to do what they did. Steven says, have you discussed how the Unsullied are executing Daenerys' enemies, but Jon kills Daenerys and gets imprisoned? Yeah, I know, right? It's I wasn't happy with it. Like that was probably one of my favorite scenes of the episode where Jon tried to stop him from killing the Lannister men. Daenerys wanted everyone dead. Um, that's why I thought the Unsullied, they kind of irritated me because I was like, who the hell are you? Like you're from Essos. You don't even belong here. Your leader's dead. Like I felt like that situation should have been handled completely different. Like I don't know why they would have to um, make peace with the Unsullied and send Jon north of the Wall. Like why don't they just say, okay, you came over to our land, you destroyed King's Landing following your queen, you've killed many Westerosi people, so thanks, leave. And we're going to keep our people, and you're going to go, and we'll show you mercy. We'll let you leave safely to Essos. Like, like I don't understand that aspect of it. That part confused me. Why did the Unsullied have the power? They shouldn't. That's what really confused me. It should have been as simple as that. Yeah, you're keeping Jon. We'll give you mercy. Leave Westeros now. Like we're not going to bargain with one of our own. You came here and murdered a huge portion of our population. So I don't know. I thought the Unsullied bargaining was pretty stupid. Dylan says, was Jon's purpose for resurrection really so no one would be able to get past Drogon and waltz into the throne room? Yeah, I think that part of the story was pretty stupid. Like Bran was focusing so much time on developing Jon being a Targaryen and being the kid of Lyanna and Rhaegar. But what really was the purpose of Bran? Like Bran was trying to be king, but yet he was going back in time to see how his cousin brother Jon was actually the true heir. I don't understand that aspect of it. Why was it so important to push his Targaryen lineage other than just throwing him on a dragon for a couple episodes and having him actually having him kill Daenerys had nothing to do with that. So just the Targaryen politics of it, and that was Varys, and it was stupid. Varys didn't do anything. Even if he sent ravens to the lords of Westeros, they didn't even mention Jon when they were electing a leader. So the whole plot was buried and it had no purpose, and nobody even mentioned Jon to be a leader in the first place, which I thought was really, really stupid. So yeah, just all in all, Jon's purpose why did he have to be a Targaryen? Because they didn't capitalize on any of that plot. Why did he have to be resurrected? Like God, like to kill Daenerys, like he should this all would have been explained if he at least beat the Night King. Then we would have been able to wrap our heads around something. But they just threw it out. I don't know. They completely threw it out. So I'm at a loss for Jon's character. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh wow, I got a donation. Thank you so much. Shant Kahudi, or if I butchered your name. I'm sorry. He says, was the Night King a Targaryen because he couldn't burn? There was a lack of dialogue between Jon, Arya, Sansa, and Bran. Also, maybe a battle between Grey Worm and Jon. A battle of combat would have been much better. To be honest, I think anything would have been better. Grey Worm, his role was stupid to me. I don't understand his role. You know, we saw Jon get all emotional, and for this whole season, he was saying, "You are my queen," and I was waiting for him to have a strong moment, but they turned him into a Chio pet. Like, I think it would have been even a much better moment if he said, like, "You step down, I am king, get off my land." You know what I mean? And stood his ground, and Grey Worm refuses, so Jon fights him. You know, yeah, that would have been much better. I can't believe what they did with Jon's character. It kind of, yeah, it kind of blows my mind. In terms of the Night King being Targaryen, the Night King speculation stuff is like a deep slope now because he's dead and the whole plot was over. If anything, I always thought the Night King was a Stark. In terms of him not burning, I don't know if that's a George R. R. Martin thing or that's the producers of the show being like, surprise, ha, like we're gonna have Arya come in and kill him. It's hard to even predict on that because I don't know. They didn't set up the Night King for anything, so everything was just kind of thrown in there. So I think it's difficult to, speak on. So what else do we got here? Film history says maybe they avoided explaining anything with Bran because it might mess up future spin-off plot lines. Future spin-off plot, like they're not going to do any sequels to the show. They're going to be doing The Long Night, which I think is a mistake. So there's that. So they're going to focus on The Long Night, back on the White Walkers, which I think HBO is going to realize was really stupid of them because this show butchered the brand of Game of Thrones and The Night King. So it's going to be hard for any writer to try and make up ground for what the Night King is if you base a show on the Night King. So I know that they wrote 4 different shows. I think they're all prequels. I don't think any of them are sequels. So I don't see any issue there. And in terms of Bran going in the past and wanting to save that kind of stuff, them not having Bran go back in time to like the Long Night or show any depth to me, either way, it still screws the show because the Night King was just destroyed for no reason, right? So you can't add depth in the spinoff because there was proven to be no depth in this show. So I think regardless, Bran, it wouldn't have mattered if what Bran did. Jay says, what is next for your channel? Honestly, buddy, I don't know. There's a lot of different stuff right now. Like I put up a Westworld video today. It's kind of leaning towards one show I'm going to focus on, which is Westworld. It's an amazing show. I'm very excited to get back into it. I'm going to be doing Game of Thrones spin-off stuff. So that's going to be like 2 years from now. That's a 2-year plan. Maybe movies. Maybe I'll find some more TV to talk about. I launched my Instagram. So you can check that out, max.ferguson.b. So you can check that out. I don't know how to use it. I'm going to fumble through it. In terms of, I don't know if there's any gaming fans here. I'll just mention this. Why not? Because we're on the subject and put in more questions that I can answer. But I'm going to be doing a gaming channel. Yeah, I'm going to be doing a gaming channel. It's going to be separate from BuzzTox. It's going to be another channel, completely separate. So people here who don't like gaming won't be a part of it. But if you like gaming, you can go subscribe. It's called Aimless, AIMLYSS. Basically, it's a dead channel at this point. I put up a couple videos, but I haven't been working on it in years. And I'm excited. I think I'm going to launch that this summer, and we'll get some gaming videos up as well. So there's going to be a lot of different avenues I'm going to be working on. In terms of BuzzTox, it's going to still focus on media. We know Watchmen's coming out. I don't know anything about it. So really, I'm just going to be looking for media that I can sink my teeth into and talk to you guys about. But it's all dependent on what you guys like. So, so Farside says, so is the Night King trying to stop Bran from being king? No, I think he just wanted to stop him because of what they said. He's a three-eyed raven, and the Night King doesn't like three-eyed ravens. I think that was really the reason. I don't think the Night King cares about any political stuff at this point. He was just established as like the bringer of destruction. So it was a good thing that Bran the Broken was in the way. The Night King can't break him because he's already broken. So that was funny. And I found it really funny in the show. I don't know what you guys thought, but every time they said Bran the Broken, I laughed. I thought it was hilarious. Bran the Broken. Oh man. Yeah. So it's clear that there's a lot of people who are very upset with this with the show. I can't believe they made Bran king out of nowhere. It's actually crazy. So and then the Song of Ice and Fire thing made me angry too, because obviously it's a nod to George R. Martin when Sam's like, I wrote a book on the Song of Ice and Fire, but it's like the show, what I just watched was not a Song of Ice and Fire. It was completely a Game of Thrones. What about the story did they establish was ice and fire? I didn't like it. Ashlaminario says, why did the Iron Islands in Dorne not seek independence? Dorne, given its history, should have, especially given that Targaryens are gone. Yara had traded independence for her fleet with Daenerys. Yep, very true. Didn't matter though. Sansa wanted to get it. There's no way to explain that other than it's just the way it was written, right? No way to explain it. The election process I thought was just kind of stupid. I just didn't like the way that they asked Tyrion, and then they made it. Edmure Tully came up and he butchered it, and then Sansa kept quiet, and they ended up backing Bran because he's the keeper of stories and he's broken. I just wish somebody showed Jon some respect and mentioned, we actually have a pretty good person up there who's held captive by these foreigners. So yeah, I think that part wasn't the best. People are mentioning the trailer of His Dark Materials. I want to ask you guys actually, is that show Dark Materials or whatever it's called? Is that in season 1? Is that coming out? Is it a new show? Because I remember I did see something called in Dark Material, His Dark Materials or whatever when I was watching Thrones, and I was actually like, this looks pretty good. People are saying I should watch The Expanse. Very cool. There's a lot of stuff I gotta really look at. Haha Percy says, you said you would upload videos like rewriting this season. Yes, so I'm going to be working on that. Yeah, I'm still trying to. I need to kind of take pen to paper right now and develop how I'm going to do it. Am I going to do episode by episode? Am I just going to do it all in one video, talking about what I would do in season 7, and then another video on what I do on season 8? I'm not sure. Or yeah, just kind of the breakdown of how I should do it. Should I do it episode by episode? Should I hold myself accountable to what David and Dan did, where the Night King gets defeated in episode 3 and Cersei gets defeated in episode 5? There's still a lot of things I need to think about when I look into that, but that'll be out soon. We're good. But yeah, wow. We actually have a lot of people in the chat. 1,185 people. That's incredible. Miss Sippa says, do you think that Game of Thrones is really end? Like you're asking if Game of Thrones is really over? Is that the question? What I would say is they will never redo the show. I know a lot of people were talking about, or there's the petition going out, and we talked about it last episode. And I'll touch on it right now. Basically, people are signing this petition to redo the series, and I don't really see how that would work. I like to wish that they would redo the series, but it just doesn't make any sense at this point. In terms of HBO, they wouldn't disrespect their producers and redo the show. We would confuse the audience. A lot of money there too, but they would get business. So I don't know. I think the only way we would see a redo of Game of Thrones is in 10 to 20, 30 years when they want to redo the show in its entirety. And the advantage would be that they can look at it from a different lens and redo the show. But the one thing that, I like to hold out for and I wish for is that it would be amazing if HBO was like, okay, they really messed up, so we're gonna get new writers in charge, and we'll redo these 2 seasons, whatever. Like, it would be a very unique thing because that's never happened before. They could get some, yearly, annual viewership out of it because it's become even more of a thing where it's headline HBO's redoing Game of Thrones. A lot of people would go on and watch it. They could capitalize on that. They'd have a couple of more years of business. But I don't think it would happen, but it would be amazing if it did. Leela says, why they didn't just tell Grey Worm they would send Jon to the wall, and when Grey Worm leaves, they just leave. They just have Jon alone. Yeah, I don't know. My one issue was they negotiated with people who had no right to negotiate. Like, who the hell are you, buddy? Like, you come in here, you destroy King's Landing with your queen Daenerys, you kill a lot of our people, and now you're holding somebody hostage. No, like, I just don't get that. Like, go away, like, get out of here. So I just think that was handled really weird. But onto the remake I was talking about. Somebody asked, do you think that HBO cares about the petition reaching 1 million? I always said petitions usually don't work, but the fact that it hit 1 million doesn't hurt. Like, 1 million is a lot, especially since this episode 6 that aired, it was the highest viewed episode to date. I think it was about 19 million. The fact that they have a petition to redo the series and it has 1 million people, that's insane. Like, that is crazy. That's big numbers. And you can see on the Rotten Tomatoes scores, like, people hated it. Like, everyone voted it poorly. It got very bad reviews. All in all, it was just kind of a giant fail. And that was another thing too, by the way. I just read in the chat, somebody mentioned the water bottle. What's the deal with this season? It's like they just were in such a rush. They left a coffee cup, they left a water bottle. It was just kind of the most lazy, thrown together episode or show, with the writing and then just throwing. It was just crazy to me. And them finding the water bottle did not look good on the show. Did not look good on the show at all. Eddie says, I actually agree with you saying that 10 season would be too much. And the reason is, think about Robb Stark's rebellion. It took quite a while. Daenerys getting to Westeros, etc. Yeah, I think 10 seasons is too much at this point. I think they could have just done it with an extra 7 episodes. Season 8 and season 7 and 8 should have been 10 episodes, and that's it. That's all you needed. Jake says, what prequel do you want to see most? What's funny is I probably want to see Robert's Rebellion, but what sucks about that is they showed most of it, or a lot of the key points of it. I just would love to see that aspect of the show with the same cast that they used in the flashbacks. I think that would be really cool. It would have been awesome. But now they're going to the Long Night, and I just don't really care about the Long Night because it's going to be focused on the Night King. Don't really care about that. I would have liked to see the Targaryen conquest. I think that would have been pretty cool. There were a lot of things that they could touch on, but I'm not too familiar with all the side stories that they could do, but they could even write an original and just base it in that world. Mira says, "What do you think about Gendry being king instead?" Yeah, to be honest, I think Gendry being king wouldn't be a great idea. I voiced my opinion on it. He's not qualified for it. The only thing that would give him reason is that he's Robert's son, and the fact that the show would start with Robert Baratheon as king, and he wasn't a good king, and then finishing off with Gendry, it would kind of be like, what's the point? Like, at least with Bran, you can suspend your disbelief and say, like, okay, this guy's an ability, he's stories, he could potentially make the world a better place. But what could Gendry do? Like, there's nothing that they told us about Gendry that would make him a step up at all. So yeah, I don't know. Dylan says, "Where the hell did Drogon take Daenerys? Maybe back to where Drogo was put to rest in Essos. His ties to her vision, I guess." Yeah, the whole thing with Drogon burning the throne, I thought was really weird. I was like, did Bran like warg into him and burn the throne as a part of his plan? But that's probably not. Drogon just probably decided to burn the throne. Apparently, dragons are really smart. I thought that was kind of shocking. And the fact that he just grabbed Daenerys and took off, I thought was pretty funny. I don't know where he put her, but I don't know. And then they did that weird thing where Bran's like, "I'm gonna go find the dragon," and then I thought that he was talking about Jon, or gonna go see Jon beyond the wall. I put a clip of that in my video where Jon basically, when he's leaving to go to the Night's Watch for the first time, he tells Bran that they can go walking beyond the wall when he's not afraid. And I thought we'd see that kind of wrapped up, but we didn't. So honestly, I don't think the show really cares. I don't think it matters. She was just taken off and thrown, buried somewhere, and that's it. So, yeah. What else do we see here? What else do we got? Sorry, guys, it's hard for me to find stuff. Did Jon turn himself in? Yeah, that's another thing that they kind of brushed over. He like killed Daenerys, and then after he killed Daenerys, out of nowhere, Daenerys was picked up and taken away. Like, the evidence was taken. So Jon was just standing there alone. He could have, he literally, Grey Worm could have come to get Jon, and he could have said, "Hey, buddy, she just hopped on her dragon and flew away. So I don't know, but I'm king now, so get out." But obviously Jon's honorable, so he probably told the truth, and then they probably held him hostage. But that aspect of the episode was rushed. Yeah, I think that was really quick. Ha Percy says, "My bet is he took her to Valyria." It also makes some kind of sense, doesn't it? Yeah, I guess that makes sense. If Drogon took Daenerys to Valyria, sure. Marilyn, thank you so much for the $10 donation. That's incredible. Thank you. She says, "Your videos this season has helped me articulate my feelings, especially episode 3. You said it best about the emotional investment. Anyway, can't wait until season 3 of Westworld and forgetting last night." Yeah, well, I'll probably do another video like that about episode 5, but we'll see. Same as can I talk today? Same as episode 6. I might go back and kind of look at what could be done better, because yeah, looking at the writing, I feel like the show just kind of threw things together, even though there was a more logical explanation and more like satisfying explanation just around the corner. So yeah. Lynch asks, "Why is Braun the master of coin?" I don't know. I have no freaking idea. It makes no sense. As soon as I saw Braun show up, being on the council, I'm like, boy, this is a mistake. Yeah, the point was to build a better world, and having Braun there as the way that he was just didn't make any sense. It kind of bugged me how they're thinking about like rebuilding their fleet and getting food for the civilians, and then Braun's there arguing about a brothel. Like, it's like, it's the same trap as what Game of Thrones was before. You know, we're supposed to build this new world and move forward, and they got Braun there. I thought that was kind of a waste. But yeah, Charles says, "You watch Westworld?" Yes, I watch Westworld. That's the other half of this channel. In the off season of Game of Thrones, I always cover Westworld. If you guys watch Westworld and you've never seen any of my videos, check out my Door to Dolores theory. Basically, in the first season of Westworld, Trev and I, we predicted how the show would end, and we were right. In the second episode, we predicted it, and we were right. So we were kind of like really happy about that. Season 2, I did a theory on the door, which is something that it deals with in season 2. So go check that out if you're a fan of Westworld and you want to see a good theory video that I was pretty proud of. Uday says, was Jon finally so distraught for killing Daenerys or for being sentenced to the Night's Watch? Yeah. He just, all in all, he didn't seem very happy. So I don't know. He's north of the wall now with Ghost and Tormund. At least Tormund shares his heartbreak. You know, Brienne broke his heart, and Jon's there too with his heart broken. So there you go. They'll be able to be there together. But Jon did not look happy at all. But in terms of Jon, the reason why Jon was distraught, you know, he did like Daenerys, so that would feed into it, as well as I think him being sent to Castle Black was kind of a bummer for him too. I think everyone was pissed off about what happened there. Ashen Mario says, I think Blackfire Rebellion / some other Targaryen civil wars would be really cool for the prequels. What do you think? There's a lot of stuff in the histories, lore videos that they made previously. Yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff. All in all, with the Targaryen stuff, though, like, I want to move forward. Like, I want to see what happens next in Game of Thrones, because I'm almost hoping for the show to like redeem itself somehow. But yeah, at this point, any spinoff I'll be fine with, and I'll watch it and I'll enjoy it. But other than that, like, who knows? I would like a sequel at this point, because I want to see if Jon actually, you know, likes being beyond the wall. Lovrock Sun says, thank you so much for the donation. Wishful thinking. Drogon took Daenerys to Kinvara, resurrecting her where she can live in Essos in the House of the Red Door by the Lemon Tree. Very interesting. Interesting interpretation. Christian says, what would you have wanted for Jon? King of the Six Kingdoms, King of the North, or other? I always thought Jon wouldn't be King of the North. I thought that was kind of reserved for Sansa, and I think that kind of trumps Jon. For Jon, it was either two things. Him being the king, I think that he would have been the best candidate for king, and Bran belongs on the council. Yeah, so I think he should have been the king. But if they wanted to send him north of the wall or to Castle Black, they could have done that, as long as they illustrated to me and us that, first of all, he served his purpose defeating the Night King. He killed Daenerys, and now he gets to live out his life beyond the wall, and he kind of becomes the new Mance Rayder, the leader of people beyond the north, beyond the wall. So sure. And he kind of, I would love that story for Jon, which I think would be cool, where instead of him being, that would be a cool story, where with all those wildlings being king beyond the wall, it becomes so big that he becomes like the Lord beyond the wall, where there's different kingdoms and it grows so large, and it's a whole other aspect. I think that would be really cool, but that, like, we'll never know. Marilyn, again, thank you so much for the donation. She says it makes more sense for Bronn. It makes more sense than Bronn for Coin Master. So here is some. Now go watch his Westworld videos. Him and Trev have some amazing insight. Oh, thank you for promoting me on my Westworld videos. Lynch says, what do you think about Yara Greyjoy defending Daenerys? Yeah, I don't see why not. Like, she did pledge fealty to her. I don't really see an issue with it. I just think her character was kind of sidelined regardless. But yeah, that's all I can say about that. Percy says, did you notice the funny thing about Robert and Gendry? They both fall in love with a woman that they can't have. Interesting. I think that's really funny. It's funny. I didn't even notice that. It's a good take, and it kind of sucks. So he's probably just going to finish off his days as the Lord of Storm's End. What do we got here? Fernandez, thank you so much for the donation. I remember you, buddy. Thank you so much for your support. He says, "Love seeing your channel growing, man. Woot! Hell hail, BuzzTox." Thank you. That's awesome. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens after Game of Thrones. Hopefully, we can do more than that. I'd like to. That's why I think I'll do another live stream just to kind of discuss the channel, and I can kind of get input from all you guys, and we can find the best way forward, because I want to make sure that everyone has a channel that they can watch the content that they want, right? So I think that's important. Far Side says, the irony, John becomes king of the free folk, but is not free himself. Yeah, that was the one thing too. Like, even about him being king, like, I thought John would be a good king because he begrudgingly has to take that role, and he'll never be free because his life is about constantly serving other people. So I thought that would be kind of a good twist on his character. I honestly think, like, him going beyond the wall wouldn't have been as bad if they executed it right. I think that's all they had to do was execution, and I think they fell short on everything. Yeah, I think that's really it. And it's the same with Daenerys. It's the same with Bran sitting on the throne. Like, it sucks, but they should have. It could have been executed better and made us actually appreciate the ending rather than despise it. What else do we got here? FaZe says, "Why look for Drogon?" Yeah, obviously he's just he's a threat, right? He's just a giant weapon. I thought Jon would kill him. Yeah, you like, after what it did to King's Landing, I don't think they'd want those around. So I think they want to secure where Drogon is so they could protect themselves. I think that's the key issue there. What else do we got here? And by the way, guys, I think we're gonna cut this one. Maybe, like, we'll do another 15 minutes. All of a sudden, I planned this live stream, and then, like, a billion other things piled up. So I'm gonna answer some more questions here. But all in all, what I've realized from this episode is, it's weird because there's no more predictions, there's no more theories. Everything's been done, right? So we find ourselves in a place where we're just complaining. So that's really it, right? So I'd love to hear more about what you guys have to say. In terms of, I'll just talk about some positive things first of all. I think, we talked about it last live stream, but I think the other seasons were great. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I loved all of them. I have no issues. Obviously some have some strengths and weaknesses, but all in all, I was happy and, like, boom, approved. Fantastic season, loved it. It still keeps it the best show in my opinion. Season 7 and 8 did fall off quite a bit. And yeah, going into season 8, I just wish we had more time with the show. I wish that there was more development, but from these last 2 seasons, at least we got still some very cool action scenes. We got some very cool cinematography, great music, great acting. We got pretty much everything else except for writing. So yeah, at least we can be appreciative for that. Farside says, were you surprised by the accuracy of the leaks? By episode 5, when did I notice the leaks? I wasn't paying attention to the leaks until after episode 5. I tried to distance myself from them. So naturally on Twitter, I got somebody who sent me the full breakdown, and it was right in front of my face. I ended up reading them, and my first reaction was, oh shit. I tried to look on the bright side and tried to push my point of view and see what would happen. But in the back of my mind, I kind of knew that Bran would be king. I was kind of bummed out about it because, if you're on this channel about 1.5 years, 2 years ago, Game of Thrones season 7 completely leaked. They had a plot leak for everything, and it seemed like it wasn't even real. I did a video breaking down the whole plot leak, and I confirmed every episode. They broke down every episode, and I confirmed what was there. I discounted what wasn't there, and the whole thing ended up being true. So I knew everything that was going to happen in season 7. This season I didn't. I only knew what would happen in episode 6, which kind of sucked. And I find the leaks were so funny. It was funny seeing people's reaction to it because people were like, "Oh no, it couldn't be that dumb." and then as soon as you watch the first 10 minutes of the episode, you're like, "Uh-oh." So, yeah. Connor says, "What's the point of having the wall?" Yeah, I know. I don't know. That's why when they said John take the black, I'm like, what? Why? Like the Night King's dead. They made peace with the wildlings. Like for me, it would have been better if they said, you know what, John, you're free. Go do what you want. And then he just decided to go to Castle Black and be with the wildlings and all that. But um, yeah, I thought that the use of the wall, I think, is pretty stupid at this point. Tyler says, why did the show ignore all the foreshadowing with Littlefinger and the Faceless Men, with Varys, with Jon Snow? Why did they include any of the pieces in the show only to do nothing? I don't know, man. I have no idea. They did a lot of foreshadowing, and the worst part of that is that was the most compelling part of the story. That's what had us on the edge of our seats, very excited to keep watching the show. And then they threw it all out the window, which basically made me feel like I wasted my time, because every scene that touches on anything remotely like that isn't plot development. It's just wasted air. So yeah, there was a lot of that I just feel like was so unnecessary, and Varys was really underhanded. Like literally, Varys did nothing. Like he did nothing. The Golden Company was brushed aside, didn't help out in that aspect. Like how much cooler would have been if Varys secured Jon the Golden Company and Jon had a standoff with Grey Worm with his Golden Company and Grey Worm's Unsullied? That would have been sick, right? Um, so I don't even know. Varys literally rode a couple ravens and then got killed, and then his ravens didn't even do anything because when they were electing a king, they didn't even mention Jon. So I don't know. I thought that was very surprising, and I thought it was really poorly handled. Connor says, "Oh, what's the point in having the wall?" I already answered that. Forgot about that. What else do we got here? Film History says, would you read Fire and Blood 300 years before A Game of Thrones, a Targaryen history, and do some kind of review, theory, speculation on future HBO spinoffs? Yeah, I could. I could pick up some books. My thing with that, I don't know how many people would be, excuse me, even interested in that. But I can assure you, when the spinoff is coming out and we get the trailer, I'm going to be educated. Like I'm going to make sure I know my stuff. So there's that. In terms of any spin-offs, stuff like that, I'll kind of figure that out as we go. Marilyn says, good question from Creative Plays. Melisandre unknowingly sacrificed Shireen so Arya could survive season 8, episode 5. A lot of evidence to support this from season 3, episode 5 onwards. Your thoughts? Unknowingly sacrificed Shireen so Arya could survive season 8, episode 5. I don't know what the evidence is. I think that I guess that's a cool idea. Other than that, I don't really know. All I can say is, like, with Arya, I just get frustrated because I feel like they decided to take everything Jon was supposed to do and they gave it to Arya. So it really frustrated me. Like she got the two big, I can't believe it. Like she got the big action scene in episode 3, and then she got the big action scene in episode 5, which is crazy. Like, first of all, there's the Night King. At least give Jon one. Like in episode 3, she kills the Night King. Jon's been developing that rivalry with the Night King for season after season. He's been the one who's bringing people together to fight him. So at least give Jon that moment. But they didn't. So I'm like, okay, they're going to give Jon a moment in King's Landing. So the person who he loves burns all of King's Landing. Maybe instead of having Arya walk through the destruction of the city, maybe have Jon and realize what she's done and kind of blame himself for it. And I think that would have been more impactful, but Arya got it. So I'm frustrated in that aspect because they just gave everything to to Jon or Arya. So yeah, it was frustrating. What else? Leo says, what did the Dothraki and the Unsullied do? Nothing. And do you think the Night's King was too vague? Like we got no history of who he was. Yeah, I know. That's what's so frustrating. Like, I feel like they should have used the symbols. They had symbolism. They had him resurrecting children. Like there was a lot of different stuff there. He was able to see Bran in the weirwood tree. There was a lot of stuff there, and I feel like they just tossed aside his character. I think the fact that he died from Arya was ridiculous. Like think about it. And both were handled like the two key villains were going into this season was the Night King and Cersei. Think about how crazy it is how these characters were defeated. The Night King literally came south and lost his first battle at Winterfell from a knife. That's it. How did Cersei die? She got destroyed and then she got hit in the head by a brick. Like, wow. I honestly can't believe it. Like, first of all, obviously they could have done the Night King more justice, but even Cersei, like, Cersei had the upper hand on Daenerys this whole time. She killed her dragon. Why didn't Cersei have more to do? Um, and that would have pushed her to more desperation. Like, why didn't Cersei use the wildfire? Why didn't she push Daenerys to the point where she had to burn civilians and she had to do that? Um, so I just, I think that aspect of it was so poorly handled. But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, that being said, guys, I'll do a couple more questions and then I'm gonna head out. Just a quick hour live stream. I'll probably do one later as well. Also, I got to work on a couple videos for Game of Thrones to wrap it up. But yeah, and then in terms of channel, we'll do another live stream on the future of the channel and we can kind of talk about how to move forward. But Hashem Mario says, what happened to the Dothraki? Oh, that's another thing. That's another thing that bugged me. The Dothraki should have been dead. They shouldn't have even been around because of the Night King. There was no stakes in the show, right? Like the Night King literally achieved nothing. Daenerys wasn't affected. Nobody was affected. It bugged me. But what happened to what happened to the Dothraki? Wouldn't they break up into factions, start pillaging Westeros once Daenerys is dead, similar to what happened after Khal Drogo died? They should have all died after episode 3. Agree. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's another poorly handled aspect of the show. Z says, do you think that they'll add another season in The Fire, just like they did in Prison Break? Another season in The Fire. I don't know what you mean by in the fire, but no, I think they're gonna leave it. If honestly, if HBO decides to remake this thing, it would be crazy. I think it'd be a very cool PR thing for them to do. But anyways, at least Tyrion got his epic moment in the episode. Yeah, no, Tyrion was one of the best parts of the episode. I thought he was great. I thought Jon was good where he was used. Daenerys, I would have liked her being killed to mean more. I feel like they brushed over her character and they had her change character so fast that the build up to her being killed didn't really mean anything, which is sad because we've been with her for 8 years. So I just think it was a cheap change. Somebody says, do you think it's possible Drogon took Daenerys to be resurrected? I'm annoyed that they didn't go to the Night Queen way. Oh yeah. At this point, who knows? We're never going to see past this part of the show. It doesn't matter. I find it hard to believe that they would do that. I just think he took her because that's his mom, and then they went into Valyria, or they went somewhere and finished off the rest of their days. But yeah, I don't think they would hint at that at all. But yeah, I think she's gone for good. But Jay says, will you watch the GOT documentary? Yeah, I will. I'm very interested to see. I would watch anything to see the psychology of the producers of the show. I want to see their justification for doing things. I want to know why they did things, why they felt it was right to write the show a certain way. I just find it fascinating. So I'm going to watch it just to see the cast reaction as well as the producers of the show. Nick says they could have at least had Varys scene where he heard betray her or something. The whole voice thing was pointless, literally pointless. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know what to say to that. They didn't really capitalize on a lot of that stuff. It's not even about the voice and the flame for me. It's just about making his character meaningful. Like he didn't do anything. He didn't do like for Varys in all my predictions. Like Varys to me was the person who put power in Jon's corner without Jon even wanting it, and it affected the future of Westeros to the point where Daenerys couldn't do anything. Nobody supported her. They all supported Jon. Um, and that would have been Varys's role, but they didn't really do that. Um, but yeah, that's it. So I think that's all I have to say about this episode. We talked about it briefly. I'm more of a prediction theory guy, so kind of wrapping things up, it's hard because at this point we're just talking about the episode, and I love talking about it with you guys. But at this point, it's weird because there's nothing more we can predict about because it's over, and it's just so bizarre. All we can do at this point, and it really sucks because the way the show ended, I don't want to go back for a while to rewatch the show because I feel like it would just kind of be wasting my time. Like I'm not excited. You know what I mean? Like if John's one of my favorite characters, if John sat the throne, then I would at least want to go back to season 1 and watch all the way through of the journey of the king. But no, it's the journey of John joining the Night's Watch and then ending up back at the Night's Watch. So no. And then watch Bran's adventure of being pushed off a tower and just becoming the Three-Eyed Raven and then disappearing in season 5. It's just, I don't know. There's nothing about the show that would really motivate me to want to watch it because every single arc, there wouldn't be any interest in it. Like even Daenerys, like I would love to watch her conquer Essos and then come to Westeros, but then she's gonna flip her character like a switch. So yeah, I think I'm gonna need a bit of a break. Like I'll do some Game of Thrones stuff, but I'll need a bit of a break of the show just to kind of like relax about it, and then I can go back and watch it in like a couple of years and enjoy it. But we'll be getting that spinoff. That's something to look forward to, and I'll be working on a lot of other videos as well, so you can look into those. Like I said before, we have a lot of people in the chat, which is awesome. I'll do another live stream talking about the future of the channel, see what we can do. Other than that, follow me on my new Instagram. I don't even know how to use it. I'm still learning, but I put up my first post, max.ferguson.b. So you check me out there. And other than that, that's it. I got a lot of other Game of Thrones videos down in the pipeline. But until next time, thank you guys so much. I'll see you guys later.